A handful of years ago, I got the opportunity to assist Joe Blaney on a project. If you don't know who Joe is, you probably know his work. He's worked with artists like the Ramones, the Beastie Boys, Prince, and most importantly for this story, he recorded The Clash's Combat Rock. The Clash is one of my all-time favorite bands, so hearing all the stories Joe had about making that record was incredible. But there was one story in particular that really stuck with me. Joe first met the guys in The Clash when they were in the studio working on some demos. He was either a runner or a tape-op at the studio at the time. They became pals, and when it came time to record Combat Rock, the guys from The Clash called the studio manager and said they wanted Joe to engineer the record. The manager told them no. Absolutely not. Joe doesn't know how we do things or how we get our sounds. You'll get our head staff engineer. Not happy with that answer, they told the manager that if that was the case, that they would take Joe and go record at a different studio. The manager caved and Joe got the gig. But why did they want Joe to engineer so badly? Especially when they could have had a much more experienced and knowledgeable engineer. Well, it was literally Joe's inexperience that they wanted. You see, at the time, a lot of studios and the staff engineers at them would have very set ways in which they did things and a lot of rules about what should and shouldn't be done. Joe didn't know those yet. He knew how to run the tape machine and how to work the console, all the technical stuff you need to run a session, but that was about it. He didn't know the right way to do things yet. And because of that, they tried a ton of new things and got really unique sounds that they never would have gotten with the more experienced staff engineer. For instance, for the guitar on Rock the Casbah, one of the Clash's most famous songs, they ran the guitar direct into a Lexicon PCM42 delay and absolutely cranked the input, driving the built-in limiter, creating an incredibly cool and now quite iconic sound. If the studio's head engineer had done that record, it probably would have sounded technically better, but it most likely would have felt worse. It would have been less interesting, less exciting, less emotional. And that's the lesson here. A lot of the time as engineers or mixers, we want to make everything perfect, to make everything sound technically correct. But that shouldn't be our main focus. Our primary goal should always be to serve the song, to enhance the emotion of the song. That can mean a lot of different things depending on the song itself, but that should always be the focus. Sometimes that will mean making things technically perfect. Other times it might mean the complete opposite. For instance, I remember watching a video where Sam Guiana talked about mixing Silverstein. In it, there was this one guitar part that had a ton of this 5 or 6K buildup, and he talks about how most people would cut that out with EQ. That would be the correct thing to do, to make it sound right. But Sam decided to boost the heck out of the frequency instead, to make it super gnarly and aggressive, because that ultimately served the feeling of the song better. Or, another session I assisted on years ago, we were working on a song that dropped down to just an acoustic guitar and vocal for one section. And we originally set up the Neumann KM84 and I think a U67. Both mics sounded fantastic. Big and full and sparkly and all of that. But the producer didn't like it and wanted to try something different. I said, no problem. Do you want to try the Telefunken 251 or maybe a U47? He told me to set up a Shure SM57. I totally thought he was joking or maybe he had lost his mind, but when we listened back, it was perfect. It sounded kind of small and claustrophobic and definitely not what you would imagine when you think of the perfect acoustic guitar tone. But in the context of this particular song, it was exactly what it needed. It matched the story of the song and pulled you in, making you feel what the singer was feeling. I saw a video recently that put it perfectly. I wish I could remember whose video it was. If anyone knows the one I'm talking about, let me know who it was in the comments. But they said something along the lines of spend less time thinking about how the mix sounds and more time thinking about how the song feels. That realization was probably one of the most important things I've ever learned about producing music, and it genuinely transformed the way I approach a mix. So the next time you're starting a recording or a mix, stop and think, what does this song want me to feel and how can I enhance that? I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and if you did and want to support the channel, consider making your next gear purchase through my Sweetwater affiliate link in the description down below. It's the same price for you, but goes a long way in helping me to make more videos like this for you.